could be somewhere physically and just not be there mentally. And I think that's mostly what happens to people who are going to a 9 to 5 that they don't necessarily love or like, but still have a goal or want to chase a dream on the back end. I think two things can be true at the same time. You can hate your commute to work, but on that commute to work, bro, if you're on a bus or on a ferry, you could be working on your dream instead of doom scrolling on social media. That's what I do on my commute to work. I re-listen to our podcast. I send our editors notes. I'm posting social media clips. Like, I'm actually working while I'm commuting to work. And that doesn't necessarily mean that I hate my job, but that's my opportunity to, instead of doom scrolling, have smaller tasks, tangible tasks that are contributing to my overall dream.
Yeah, I think you said it well. And if I had to label it as actionable advice, it would be find your spark, even if it's a side hobby. You have to look forward to something in life. And we've done enough episodes. We're 20 plus episodes of failures in. We done dissected all different variants of the depressed man, the overlooked man, the man who feels insignificant, the lonely man. There's so many labels for this community that we speak to every day. But I think one anecdote that could be used for every single one of that type of man that we've labeled is to find a passion, find a spark, find some form of thing to do that drives your curiosity. And passively sitting around watching other men be excellent, like MMA or the NBA or NFL, that's cool. I'm not against that. I love sports. I grew up on sports. But find something where you can put yourself into the solution, where you can create a small problem and try to solve it yourself. I think that's what you're saying, Rich. There's enough time in a day, and technology has become so convenient that you could be using your commute or the quiet time in your life to pursue your side passion or your side hobby.
You know what I think would be helpful? Just like if we could share how we've dealt with family who don't necessarily understand the dream, but have a lot of questions about the dream, or try to insert themselves into what you're working on. Because I find that to be a challenge even today.
I have a very simple formula for this, and I'm so glad you asked. I share it with my nephew a lot. I actually share it with my girlfriend, who I spent Christmas with her family recently. Most people that come from humble beginnings and may have come from another country to the United States, or maybe part of that weird second generation that doesn't have the luxuries of more affluent families who have been here for hundreds of years and they already have infrastructure. I empathize with that family. I empathize with that kid. I empathize with that grandkid that is trying to do well and right for their family who just got here or is figuring their financial situation out. I know it's not easy, but if you're the person in the family that has been given the fortune to go and pursue your dream with confidence and next level vigor, you have afforded yourself one of the most beautiful opportunities in life. And that's to pursue what's inside of you. You don't necessarily have to work on the farm. You don't necessarily have to work on your family's business. You have a whiteboard that is clean. You can write whatever the fuck you want on it. That's your dream. So when you say, how do I deal with family who I have to share my dreams with? I told my nephew recently, start with the trophy. Most people respect trophies. Look behind me. You don't know anything about me, but by default, you're like, either that dude bought all of those fucking trophies on eBay or he got them trophies in himself. Look behind Rich. He has a whole gang of certifications behind him. Either that dude just likes collecting paper and frames or he's accomplished. Go to the dentist, look around. You'll always see where they graduated from, where they got their bachelor's, where they got their master's, where they got their PhD. Why? People respect trophies. So when you're talking to a family that may have not achieved what you want to achieve, you have to speak to them in dollar amount, and you have to speak to them in terms of, oh, do you know this person who's already accomplished that goal? That's what I want to do. And since they already know who Bad Bunny is, you don't have to waste your fucking time telling them you want to be a musician. You just got to tell them I want to be Bad Bunny, and they'll get it. So I speak in terms of accomplishments. That is my actionable advice, because it's not your family's fault. They're first generation, second generation, or immigrant. They're not going to understand what it is, this new American dream that you're pursuing. So I like to speak in terms of trophies, meaning I tell them how much money I'm going to make, what kind of goal, or people that have already done it, and it makes it a little easier for me to communicate it. Or I'll speak to them in movies or reality shows, things that they've seen before.
That's great advice. I think I take a little bit of a different approach. I think that a lot of times my explanations are like too complex for them, especially when
You've told me this before.
yeah, like I have immigrant parents, and they don't understand a lot of like American culture. So I try to turn things into like light humor or like a joke. Like they'll ask me about the podcast, I'll say, "Oh, it's just a little thing, it's a hobby." Or I tend to feel like once you make light of the dream and don't over explain what you're doing, it becomes this lighthearted thing that they don't really even know how to reject. Right? It's just like, oh, it's a little hobby he's working on, right? There's no room for rejection. My flex is going back to them a year later, 2 years later, and be like, oh yeah, remember that little thing I was working on? Like I just made $100,000 from that little thing. And they're like, oh, really? You know? And then that's, to your point, that's sort of like the trophy that I could highlight after I previously mentioned that it was just like a small thing that I was working on. So I kind of like make light of the dream so that they don't become over opinionated. And then I bring the results when I have them.
Rich, that's such great advice. Like, so you're saying if you're surrounded by someone who loves you, but naturally their fear is to let their kid dream something they can't achieve, the best way to disarm those you love is to tell them the dream is just a small dream. It's not that big. I'm not investing too much time. So the way I see it is a young Rich pointing at his family saying, you know, I'm going to go into those woods in there and I might come back in a year, but don't worry about it. It's nothing too crazy. I'm just going to do something really small. And then a year later, you come back with a lion's head and a sheep jacket because you killed everything in the woods and you came back as a conqueror, as somebody that went in there with intentions and came out with a big prize. And I love that because there's something about the risk that comes with a big dream, and you're always going to pay a tax on having big dreams because with big prizes comes a lot of friction and you got to be ready for that friction. I like that because you're playing a little Jedi mind trick on your family. You're like, oh, don't worry about it. It's not that big, but really it is.
Yeah, and you know, it's tough to downplay your dreams, right? Because
Well, I can't do it. I can't do it.
as I'm saying,
It pours out of me. I get too excited.
exactly, you're really excited. It's all you think about night and day, and you can't wait to share it with the world. But sharing that dream with the world comes with some unforeseen consequences that unfortunately you're gonna have to deal with, and that's rejection, that's sidelining your dreams, belittling your dreams, making you less motivated to pursue those dreams. So it's a double-edged sword. I always side on the sense of caution, where hold on to your dreams until they become something tangible that you can show the world, you can show your parents, and they'll get it. Hold on to them and hold on to them tight.
You know, I like what you said, and I'll frame it this way. If you downplay the risk of your dream, then it doesn't trigger the fear of your parents and family who love you that don't want you to risk too much. Because I think it's the risk that makes people worried for you. Like if your son told you he was gonna fly across the country in pursuit of his dream, I don't think you'd be mad at the dream. I think you'd just be a little concerned about the risk that may come with the traveling across the country.
Yes. And that brings up another point, and this is actionable advice, is be responsible about your dreams and vision. Well, what do I mean by that? Don't pursue a dream and blow all your money and not have anything to eat for the week, or have bills that are past due, or rent that's past due, because now you're reigniting that fear that your parents have of you pursuing that dream. They don't want you to pursue the dream because now the risk has increased because you're not paying your bills. You don't have money for food. Now they need to insert themselves and come and save you from making an unfortunate, drastic risk and a negative situation that they need to pluck you out of, all for the sake of pursuing your dreams. So I think it's pivotal that you follow your dreams and visions, but be responsible about it. Make sure your fucking mortgage is paid before you go out and spend some money chasing your dreams.
Rich, when I was really young, I would do the stupidest shit to get money. And one of my uncles told me, anything times zero is zero. If you risk it all, you can't win the game because you're gonna get locked up. You can't win the game if you're not in the game. So risk needs to be respect if it's gonna take you to zero, meaning death, prison, ruining your reputation, ruining your relationships that are valuable to you. Be very mindful about high level risk when it comes to chasing your dreams.